All right, it's 7 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. First, want to welcome everybody to our coaches meeting, and I know it's a little bit different. Usually we're in the gym of some school or performance center. This is obviously a different world we've come to learn. Everything being done on online meetings like this. So again, I appreciate all of you coming. Again, this meeting is being recorded so we can broadcast it later this evening for others that couldn't make it to the meeting. And then there will be some more information that is sent out via email right after this meeting. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this. If you haven't already done so, please mute yourself. That way you all can hear what I have to say or what anybody else has to say when we get to the questions and answers. So this is the agenda. Basically, we're going to talk about online etiquette, which I pretty much have already done. COVID protocols. We're going to welcome our new coaches, and we're going to talk about our important information, returning coaches, questions and answers, and then we should be done. I planned this out to be no longer than an hour, so hopefully we can be done in about 45 minutes, if not sooner. So like I said, please mute yourself. We want everybody to be able to hear the speaker. If you have to leave the meeting for any reason, please do so. Just shoot me an email or shoot one of us an email. MYSC@mysc.org is the easiest way to get a hold of us. If you have any questions, please hold on to them till the question and answer section in the presentation. Remember that during that time, we need to be professional, refrain from profanity. There may be little ears listening in, and that this is being recorded, so we do want to post this later on this evening. So we're going to jump right into it. COVID protocols. So right now, Washington Youth Soccer has come up with a list of protocols or safety plan. Again, this will be sent out to all coaches so you can read it at your leisure. It's fairly extensive and it's subject to change. When our governor put us into phase 3, some of these things did change, and it has not yet been reflected on this new plan. So MYSC's return to play for phase 3, we have already updated. One of the major changes is while players are on the field, they will not be wearing masks during competition. And then we also have some practice guidelines that, again, will be sent out to everybody after this meeting. As I was saying, the the facial coverings, players are allowed to remove the facial covering during the competition. If they're on the sideline or at practice or training, they have to wear a mask. Officials and referees are allowed to remove their facial covering if their officiating requires them to run in the field of play. Basically, anybody that's working the sidelines would be wearing a face covering, but the center ref would not be wearing a mask if they chose not to. All spectators, all coaches, assistant coaches, team managers, anybody that's on the sideline, face covering at all times, and try to social distance. One thing I do need to touch on, coaches and players that have either contacted or contracted or are suspected to have COVID-19 must notify their coach. So players contact the coach and MYSC vice president immediately at covid@mysc.org. It's confidential, so it's only going to one person, and that's how we're going to do our contract tracing from that point. Basically, it's not even us doing it. It's going straight to the health district, and they're going to be the ones that do the contract tracing. New coaches, welcome aboard. Thanks for volunteering. This is kind of a big deal to have you guys join in. All new coaches get a gear bag that includes your field equipment. If you do need field equipment, please contact our equipment uniform director, Melissa at mysc.org. Jumping right into our important information, first aid supplies. Returning coaches, if you need first aid supplies, please contact Melissa. Or you need equipment, please contact Melissa. Melissa at mysc.org. You're going to see that a lot during the presentation. So, practice fields. This year is a little bit different. We've been working with the Mukilteo School District to get practice fields, and at this point we have them for a certain amount of time, and I'll get into that a little later. So immediately after this meeting, you'll receive an email from me with a link to request your practice field space. Now remember that this is not required, or this is not guaranteed until you receive an email back from our field scheduler, which is also myself. Because not all fields are open to all ages. Whatever fields are listed, and when you log in, those are your choices, no exception. You can contact myself. If you have any issues with signing up or questions, Stephen at mysc.org. Once you get your approval email from myself with your practice times, dates, you can contact your players. We work hard with the school district to get approval for specified fields or specific fields for each season. We're only able to use the fields listed in the practice scheduler for specific times. If a coach is reported to use an unauthorized field, he or she will be given a warning. If the coach continues to practice at the non-approved field, he or she will be suspended for at least one game, and it'll be sent to the judiciary for further review. Remember that dogs and weapons are not allowed on school properties. Contact players. So when you contact your player or your roster, one, we would like for you to do it no later than April 7th. But also when you send out that email, we want you to ask them to reply back to you to get a confirmation that they received your message. This is helpful in two ways. One, you're starting that communication process with the families. And two, if you're not getting a response back, you could let Aaron, our registrar, know. And we could maybe fill that spot with somebody that really wants to play. So that's moving on. So our game schedules, U4, U5, U6, and U7, which is our micro program, we create the game schedule for that, and it should be released no later than April 30th, probably sooner than that. But the U8 through U16, which is our recreational, North County Youth Soccer Association creates that game schedule, and it should also be released on April 30th or sooner. Contacting opposing coaches. So U8 through 16, you should be emailing or calling your opposing coach 2 days prior to game day just to confirm time and location. You can get their contact information through the North County website. If anybody needs help with that, shoot me an email. I can help you out with that. Rescheduling of games. There is no rescheduling of games in the spring. MYSC recommends having an assistant coach or a team manager to cover if the head coach is not available for the game. This is extremely important at this time of the game or this time of the season. If a head coach has to go out for some COVID situation, they're not in contact with the player or players, but has contact at work or whatnot, and they have to self-quarantine or self-isolate, this is where that head coach or the assistant coach or a team manager can step in and run the game and or practice for the team. Score reporting. There is no score reporting. Standings will not be kept for any age during the spring season. Now the big one. Training, certifications, and RMAs. All head coaches, assistant coaches, team managers, and MYSC board members are required to complete the following training and certifications. Sudden cardiac arrest, SCA, which is done every 3 years, so if you've done it in the past year or so, you may not need to do it again. Concussion in youth sports, that is done annually. Needs to be done with this. And then safe sport. Safe sport needs to be done annually. Now, one good news that I just found out is if you were to do it today, it is good through the spring of 2022. If you have done it prior to today, from February 1st to today, it is good through the fall of 2021. So if you've already done it, great. If you haven't done it, good. And you can do it now, and you'll be good through spring of 2022. All three of those need to be done in order to submit your RMA or your risk management application with Washington Youth Soccer. Step-by-step instructions will be provided in an email following this meeting. RMA must be submitted and cleared with Washington Youth Soccer before coaches may begin practices. If you do not receive an email from us regarding your RMA, you are cleared to begin practicing on April 12th or whenever your practice is scheduled. Excuse me. Uniform night. We do not issue new uniforms for spring season, and I understand this is a crazy time. We haven't had a season in over a year. We will have a couple chances for families to purchase new uniforms. Full kit is $23, a jersey is $10, shorts are $10, socks are $3. So Wednesday, April 14th, from 6 to 8 at, it says TBD, but we've already figured that out to be Cash Park Picnic Shelter. And I believe there was an email last night that was sent out to all parents, coaches, everybody about this. So Saturday, April 17th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., same location. And if you have any questions, you can contact our uniform director, Melissa at MYSC. Rosters and jersey numbers. Once your players have their jersey, please document the number of the player's jersey. You can add these to your roster in the team directory, or if you need or would like us to complete this for you, you can email us at nysc@nysc.org with a list, and we'll take care of it for you. Replacement players. So again, if you're not getting a player that shows up for practice or doesn't show up for practice or gets injured or cannot play or quits, reach out to our registrar as soon as possible, because we do have quite a few kids on the wait list and we want to try and get them on the field. Playing time. It is a recommended goal that each player will have an opportunity to play a minimum of 50% of total playing over the course of the season. All players who regularly attend and fulfill all requirements of turnout shall be given a chance to play a minimum of 50%. Unless there's a discipline problem, players that miss multiple scheduled practices or games may receive less playing time unless cleared by the coach. Now, there is one exception to this. Some of the older age groups, we'll say high school age, where they're playing high school sports. For instance, boys high school soccer practicing right now. If we were going through practices right now and those boys aren't showing up for your practices, well, it's because they're right next door over playing at the high school, and that doesn't really constitute as them not showing up. So just use your best judgment. We do have a couple players that are worried about not making this 50% play time because they're over there practicing or playing for high school, and I figure that's a case-by-case basis. This is more or less if there were a discipline issue of them not coming to scheduled practices. So referee info. Failure of a referee to appear within 15 minutes of the scheduled match is not cause to cancel the game. Coaches must mutually agree to a substitute referee, or a home team coach shall referee the first half and visiting team the second half. If a referee does show up, and it's agreed upon between coaches, they could officiate the match. We do recommend that you notify NYSC that your referee didn't show up for the game. Then we will go from there and take it to North County if needed. Should you or your players receive a misconduct, basically you're shown a card, this is the process for sanctions and appeals. The referee will file a misconduct report online with North Chapter Referee Association, which is forwarded to North County Youth Soccer Association Office Disciplinary Chair to be reviewed by the Disciplinary Committee. They may make a decision or forward it to Mukilteo Disciplinary for a decision. Mukilteo Disciplinary will contact the coach with a decision or arrange for a meeting to discuss the incident. For appeals, contact our judiciary at NYSC. We're almost done, folks. 20 minutes in, we're almost done. How to help? So NYSC has gifted scholarships to needy families in addition to coaches' discounts. We gladly do this but we could use the money for other things. You can help in multiple ways. Sign up for Amazon Smile and make NYSC your nonprofit beneficiary. For each purchase you make under Amazon Smile, NYSC will receive a quarterly donation check. Do you work for Boeing? Boeing makes a donation to nonprofits for your volunteer hours. So coaches, assistant coaches, and team managers, if you work for Boeing and for every hour that you volunteer your time, Boeing is putting out an X amount of dollars towards that. So if you do work for Boeing, you'd like to find out more, contact me. I'm also a Boeing employee. I use this every year, and our club does get a decent cut of the check, if that makes sense. Or if you own your own business, or you work for a business looking to sponsor a nonprofit organization, NYSC is looking for businesses to sponsor. It basically helps offset the expenses of player fees. Last year or 2 years ago, we'll say, everybody had jerseys that said either Everett Bone and Joint or Seattle Children's. So those are part of the sponsorship package that we're looking at. I mean, our micro program definitely needs a sponsorship. We would like to get them going with some sponsored jerseys too. Another way that you can help is join our board of directors. We have several open positions and would love your input. I'm not going to go through all of these, but we do have quite a few board members, and a lot of them are also on this call as coaches. Just to name kind of a few, we have Eric Christensen, who is our VP of Development, Judiciary, Camp Coordinator, and Scholarships. He can be reached at eric@nysc.org. Our VP of Operations, Tam Samaras, he can be reached at tam@nysc.org. And then our Vice President and our Registrar, Aaron at nysc.org. Now we're moving on to our questions and answers. So if you've got questions, I hope I have answers for you. If you have a question, unmute yourself and just spout it out. I got one here from Simon. Are uniforms good for the fall as well? Unfortunately, no. If you were to purchase a uniform in the spring, you'll still get one in the fall of 2021. Now, if you have a uniform from 2019 and it still fits your player, they can use that. You don't need to purchase one.
Hey, Stephen.
Yes, sir.
Regarding disciplinary, NYSC a couple of years ago did change a policy that does state that if a player receives a red card and conclusive video evidence can be provided defending the player that was issued that could reverse that call, that can be presented, and there would be a possible chance to overturn the red card, but it must be conclusive.
That's good information to know. So what he's saying there is start recording your games.
And if you're a coach, I would do it anyway, because it's always good to go back and look at your game film and see what you missed as a coach sitting on the sideline. You'll see a whole lot of things that you didn't see in the game just by watching the game film.
Good idea. So Stephanie asked, when is the first micro game? So all of our games are scheduled to start May 1st, and it'll run for 6 weeks, except for the holiday week, the holiday weekend. Um, and then Kyle is asking, when do they get their rosters? Rosters should be sent out no later than tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow evening, we'll say. Right, Aaron? Okay. Yeah, so Stephanie asked about the schedules being out by April 30th. Yes, that is what North County has given us. But as far as micros, we plan on having that done by middle of April, if that. Because we are the ones that create that schedule. We want to get it and get it out to you guys as soon as possible. Unfortunately, with micros, it's a little bit easier. We only have 16 to 20 teams, whereas North County may have 50 to 100. So that's where their time takes a lot. So Debbie, yes, I don't believe there's any paperwork required. If you still want to use your HOA field to practice, you're more than welcome. That's on you. I don't believe there's any paperwork that we need to do on our end. I'll double check and I will get back to you after the meeting. Any other questions?
Hey, Stephen.
Yes, sir.
If anyone needs help developing a coach's plan, a practice plan, if you need drills or anything, you can get in touch with me or Phil Groom. He's the coach's rep. We've been compiling a huge list of drills and practice plans to hand out to coaches. So if you need any of that or are interested in any of that, give me a shout.
Hey Eric, just to add as well, we've got some good session examples, so if you obviously you just need to, if you be prepared and you've got a training plan, that always helps. And Eric and I have got some good examples of that. So if you need any examples of how to plan a session, we've got some good resources.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. So
I have a question, Austin, with micro.
Okay.
I missed the first few minutes. I wasn't sure if you covered micro at the beginning. Are there practices? Are we allowed to do practices? Are schools open? The kids obviously grew a lot over the year and a half that we've missed. Are uniforms going to be granted to micros, or are we just going to be color coordinated?
So with that's a twofold question, so I'll try and answer that. With the micro program, we are going to have practices, yes. You will receive an email after the meeting that will allow you to set up your practice time. As far as the jerseys, we're just going to do a color coding. That way you can easily work that out. And then Corey had a question about will a list be included with the email forthcoming? Looks like yes, we will be sending an email with a list of. I want to make sure, Corey. I want to make sure, Corey, that you're asking a list of practice drills or you're asking for a list of your team. Okay, thank you. You want a list of drills and other resources? Yes, we can do that for you. And some of this, especially with the micro program, this is already on our website under resources for coaches. The big manual that Eric and Phil have been working on is more of the older kids, we'll say U10 and higher, or U11?
U8.
U8, okay, great. So U8 and higher. Soon as we get it fully compiled and in a book form. We're going to get it posted on our website for you. Anybody else with some questions, comments?
Stephen, anybody who would like some drills or stuff, they can email me and I can get that out to them.
Okay. So another question, if we're coaching two teams, can they practice in the same place, micro and a U10? Absolutely. So the way it works, when you get your link tonight, you'll do your micro practices, and then you'll log back in and do your U10 practices. Debbie's asking, can we coordinate purchase of micro uniforms for our team with a logo? What is the vendor? Is it still Pro Time? So Debbie, yes, we can actually work that out for you. Contact Melissa at mysc.org. Are there any other questions? All right, not hearing any. Thank you, everybody, for volunteering your time. It really helps out our club. We hope that you have a wonderful season. If you have any questions, problems, concerns, anything you didn't want to bring it up in this meeting, feel free to reach out to any of us, Aaron, myself, Eric, Phil, Tam, any of us, or like I said earlier, MYSC at mysc.org, and it comes to Aaron and myself, and we will point it in the right direction if need be. So, thank you everybody for coming. Hope you have a good evening. Debbie, there is currently a micro coordinator. It's kind of a interim type micro coordinator, and that is John Stengel. John, wave your hand. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
John stepped in as our interim micro coordinator for the spring season. So he would be our point of contact. And John, if you need any help, there's several of us on the board that could help you out.
Okay, great. So yeah, we'll just talk about getting the deadlines out they'll be getting their team lists as soon as you said tonight or tomorrow, and then from there, we'll just decide kind of what that schedule looks like.
Yes.
And get that out, because I believe there's around 10 teams, you said, for the or 4 teams for the U4, right? U3, U4, and then 10 teams for the older group of micro. Or for the 4-5, there was 3 or 4, and then there was 10 for the other.
There's 3 for U4, U5, and then 10 for 6.
Yeah, U4. Okay. So yeah, and with that, obviously, with the 6-game week schedule, give or take, we'll probably break it into like 2 groups rather than, or try to make it the best we can. And probably try to assign colors, because 10 colors is a lot. So to try to negotiate through, and I'm sure people are trying to not have to wear pennies if they don't have to. Sounds like one of the 10 teams already is going to have their own little cute jersey, so that'll work.
All right, so the emails have already been sent out to everybody, so you're more than welcome to jump off of this and go get your practice field request in. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're here to help you. Thank you for coming to the meeting.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, everybody.